Good evening, everyone. How are you? So welcome to this week's One Image My Edit. I'm just setting my screen up so I can show you this picture. Let me know what you've been up to. How's things? Everybody keeping safe and well, I hope. So this tutorial that I'm going to give you tonight is it's quite simple. Well, in fact, it's very, very simple. Really easy and straightforward. And I'm actually going to show you how to do it within Photoshop and Lightroom, Lightroom Classic, that is, because you can do it in both. It's really, really simple and easy to do. And it's your sharpening method. Now, what I'm going to do is, because this is literally going to take me no longer than 30 seconds, I'm going to answer some of the questions that were put up within the groups. I put up a Ask Me Anything post. And there was just literally a couple of questions on there that people wanted me to go over, so I'm going to do that as well. Okay. Hi Sue, how you doing? Good to see you. Okay, right. So what we're going to be discussing tonight is a thing called Deconvolutional Sharpening. Okay, it sounds more complicated than what it is. Now, this image has been provided by the landscape guru Jamie Overland. So if you're interested in seeing some of his teaching, you can within DSLR Guru VIP. So it's a beautiful image that he's got here. So thanks, Jamie, for sending this through for me to use and to demonstrate. So one of the biggest problems we usually have when we're sharpening an image is noise. Okay. Most of the time when we're sharpening images, if we're using Photoshop, if you've seen any of the tutorials that I've done, then you might be using a smart sharpen. So that would mean something like a high pass filter or unsharp mask. Okay. The problem with that is that sometimes they can introduce a little bit of noise. In fact, sometimes they can introduce a lot of noise. So what this does is it basically allows you to sharpen the image, but keep the noise. And you're just reducing the noise, the reduction of that noise. Okay, it's keeping it to a minimum. Now, this is something that is used to sharpen edges. So really what I'm getting at is that you have to have a pretty sharp image to start with, okay, in order for this to work. So if you've got an image that isn't sharp in the first place, then this won't do you any favors. You're probably better off using one of the other methods. Okay, so the way that we do this within Photoshop, like I said, is really, really simple, really, really easy. So the first thing that you're going to do is come down to your layers panel, which is down here. If you can't see that, just click on Windows and scroll down to layers, and you can see you can press F7 as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is duplicate this layer. So couple of ways we can do that. We can drag it down to the plus sign, we can right click on it, duplicate the layer, or you can press Command or Control J, and we just say okay. Then what we're going to do is convert this to a smart object. Okay, so to do that, we just right click, and then it comes to convert to smart object. And what that basically means is that we can come back and adjust anything that we do to the image afterwards. We can basically come back to it. All right, that's why it's called a smart object. And what we do from here is we're actually going to bring this into Camera Raw. All right, so to do that, so I'm just looking on my phone just to make sure the feed's working, because Facebook for some reason has been playing up big time today, and it's not downloading. Oh well, I can't see any of your comments now, so I'll have to have a look after. Okay, so what we're going to do from here is we're going to go into Camera Raw filter. So come up to filter, go to Camera Raw filter, and this is going to open it up. So what you'll find is that Camera Raw filter is very, very similar to Lightroom. In fact, it's almost identical to Lightroom. If you look at some of the basic panel, you can see up here, look, you've got pretty much the same curves there, so it's laid out the same. And in fact, what Adobe have done with this is they made Lightroom from this. Okay, so Lightroom in essence is Adobe Camera Raw. It means that you're actually editing the raw image, though, and that's the difference. Okay, you're editing the raw data. So once we've done that, we then just come down to the not the optics, detail. There we go. And you can see on the detail there that we've got sharpening. Now, what you must look for as well is, can you see this triangle here? So what can happen is that you can click on the detail and you'll just get these three sliders and you think, well, there's nothing else there. You must click on this triangle here to reveal the other three. You can see them now. Okay, so just make sure that you click on that little triangle there, because that can be a little bit misleading if it's not showing. Okay, so once you've done that, if you just add a little bit of sharpening, if it's just one, it brings up the other ones here. Look. Okay, so once we've done that, we're now going to start doing this amazing thing. Okay, and it's really simple. You just go to detail and you put that up to 100%. Okay, you leave masking where it is, and we have sharpening and radius. Now, I did a post on what this is in Lightroom. Same here with Adobe Camera Raw, what these are. So if you're not sure what these are, what these do, you can go and have a look at the post that I put up. I think it was yesterday. In fact, it was yesterday. You can see there is a little article on there just explaining what these do. So I don't have to go into immense detail again about these, but basically the radius is the amount of pixels, so 1 by 1 pixel. Okay, and the sharpening is just basically the sharpening. But you can read more about that. So now what we can do is increase this sharpening. Now, if we increase this radius or decrease it, okay, we can have a little bit more control over how much we actually want the image to be sharp. So what we're trying to do now is balance the sharpening and the radius. Now, if we go up to a maximum of 3 on this, so if we go all the way up to 3, what that is going to do is basically reduce the amount of noise as much as possible. Okay, so this is probably you're probably looking at this thinking, my God, what on earth are you doing? But this is a specific way of sharpening, and like I said, it's for specific images and it's for fine detail. So, and it just basically means you have the minimal amount of noise within your picture. So then you just go and increase the sharpening. Now, what you must be very aware of and very careful of is that if you push this too much, it will start to look very much like a grungy, high dynamic range image. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. It basically looks like that. So you have to be very aware that you're not going to over sharpen something. And also the radius here, we can bring this down, but it's going to be much softer. So I like to kind of, personally, I like to go around 2. I never really like to go fully extreme on the radius, but each image is going to be very, very different. Okay, and then the sharpening we can basically look at here. We can kind of get an idea of how sharp we want it to be. I mean, this is a pin sharp image. You can see here these leaves. If we increase that, we can start to see what's happening. Now, again, we don't want to overcook it, because over sharpening is just, it's not good. It doesn't look nice. But the good factor with this is that we're not introducing noise. That's the good part of this. Okay, that's what works really well. Now, this image, to be fair, parts of it are soft. So we've got this area here, you know, we've got this lovely fog here. So some parts of it are soft, and especially up here within the branches, but some of it is actually, you know, Jamie has wanted this to be pin sharp in places like here. So he's got an actual, if you look at this, it's almost 2 images within one. You can almost draw a line in the middle and think, well, the right hand side is very soft, the left hand side is very sharp. So the eye is naturally drawn in from left to right because he's done that, and he's thought about that, and he's done that on purpose. So it's very, very sharp and then goes into a very soft image. So this is a prime example to show you how this works, because we have both within one image. Okay, so once we've done that, we just press OK, and it has now made the effect. So if we wanted to come back and change anything, we can just come back to the smart filter here, double click on it, and what will happen is that it will bring it back up. So we're back in Camera Raw now. Okay, so we can make adjustments again if we wanted to. Okay, and it will just save it back there. So if we look at this now, let's take this off, and you're going to be shocked. Okay, it's only minute, but it makes a big difference. And like I said, so let's just go in a little bit. So here's the before, here's the after. So it's very minute, and again, I'm working on a screen here. If I go in a little bit closer, you'll see. So that's the before, that's the after, and we can see, let's look at this. I mean, we are now zooming in at over 200%. So you can see there's the before, there's the after. So it's very minute, but there's the before, there's the after. It is something that is really good for things like this, because it's just giving that separation within them leaves, and it works really well. And like I said, if you want a bit more of a dramatic sharpen, then obviously we can start pushing this up a lot more. So let's just do that just for effect, and we can see the before and the after. So let's go in a little bit closer. So obviously we're going in over 100%. So before and after, you can see there that it really does work. It sharpens up everything without adding noise, and that is the beauty of this. It doesn't add noise. So there's it before, there's the after. Can you see that? Okay, so that's how you do it within Photoshop. So we use Camera Raw. So within Lightroom, it is very similar. You can see here we've got the same settings here. Hence, doesn't this look like Camera Raw? Okay, so I'm just making sure, I'm just trying to get the feed up so I can say hello to you guys, because I know that there's people watching. Okay, I can see you all now. Hi. Okay, so same thing in Lightroom. If you want to get that effect within Lightroom, I do recommend you do it in Photoshop, but you know, if you're not too fond of using Photoshop at the minute, or you're just learning Lightroom, then you can do it. Certainly do it here, and you can see that I've been messing around. So we push the detail all the way up to 100%. The masking we want down to 0. Again, that's something different when we're masking the image. We are only actually, when we increase that, we're only sharpening the edges. We don't want that. We want this as a whole sharpen. So by clicking the detail up, again, the sharpen, we can move that. And again, the radius, we can go up. You know, maximum 3 is fine. You can, I wouldn't have it on 0.5. I'd probably, you know, be halfway, but each image is very different. Very different. Some of them, it might be half. Some of them might be, it could be 9, could be whatever. Okay, so let's have a look at this then within Lightroom, because, you know, we're going to get the same result, but different because we're in Lightroom. So this little box up here, that's the before and after. In case you didn't know that, that's on all of them. You can see the little box there. So there's the, I'll tell you what, let's go in at 200% as we were after in Photoshop. So you can see actually in Lightroom, there's a bigger difference. There's a bigger difference. But in fact, this has actually started to add a little bit more noise. Can you see that in there? So let's just bring that radius down, and let's just bring that sharpening down a little bit, and that will help us. There we go. So you can see that obviously Photoshop, you do get a much better result, but it's more than easy to do this. There we go. That's a really good example how good that works. So yeah, you can certainly do this within Lightroom and get a really nice effect. And if you look at this cobweb here, I'm not sure if you can see that. All right, let's go in 200%. You see the cobweb there just comes alive. So again, it's fine detail work. That is what we're using this for. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that. And like I said, it's a little bit different to how you probably normally would sharpen stuff, but that is a specific way. And again, I urge you to use Photoshop for that. So that's called deconvolutional sharpening. Okay, sounds a lot more complicated than what it is, but it's basically a way of sharpening an image without introducing noise. And it's not I mean, it is an AI sharpening because we're using a computer, but it's not like the you know, unsharp mask and all the other options, you know, that we've got to sharpen our images. Okay, so a couple of questions that I got asked. The main one was to do with Lightroom and Photoshop, and actually how we jump between the two. So you know, for ease of use, I've got Photoshop and I've got Lightroom open at the same time, and I can just jump between the two. But if you want to edit from Lightroom, so say we've got this image and you've made some color edits, let's just say you've made some adjustments, okay, and then you want to go and apply that effect that I've just shown you within Photoshop. Well, you don't want to have to save this image on desktop and then go to Photoshop and then open it up. You can do it within Lightroom. Okay, you can do it within Lightroom. So just go to Photo, go to Edit In, and then you'll see that Adobe Photoshop is there. You can just click on that, and then what will happen is that Photoshop will open up. There we go. It's just done that automatically. And in fact, you can see there, it's that was the image we were working on a minute ago. We can see there's the smart filter. And this was the image here that is just opened up. So if I click X, okay, I'm just going to say don't save at the minute because I'm going to do it again. Simple reason is because I want to show you what happens. So let's, now, Jamie, please don't kill me. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. So let's just bring this down. Okay, so we've got a noticeable change within the image. Okay, so that's all it is. So go to Photo, Edit In, and then Photoshop. And then Photoshop is going to load that image up. And what we can then do from there, as we can see, now Photoshop. So if your Photoshop wasn't open, it would then open up. Okay, so we can see that that was the original, and this is the one that we've done within Lightroom. So we can then make adjustments. So if we want to do what, you know, that demonstration, so right click, duplicate layer, press OK, right click, okay, convert to a smart object. So I'm going to do this really quickly just for a quick recap. So once it's done that, we can then go to filter and then go to camera raw filter. And then within the sharpening module, we'll just click on the sharpen there. Okay, detail up to 100, push the sharpening up and to whatever radius you want as well. So you'd be playing around with them, say okay. And then Photoshop is now done that, it's completed that. So if we then want this to be exported back into Lightroom, all we need to do is go to File and then click Save. Okay, and then if I just move Photoshop out of the way, you'll see there that magically it has created another file. Can you see? So now we've got two files. So we've got the original and we've got the one that we just applied the changes to within Photoshop. So that's how you do it. It will create another image there. Can you see? Can you see? Okay. So if you were doing this, okay, doing it back to front, so to speak, that's how you do it. So you can see there we've now got 1 of 2 and 2 of 2, and you can always tell which image you have brought into Photoshop and adjusted and then brought back within Lightroom, because it will have, see these little markers here. Okay, this is indicating that you have done something within Photoshop. Okay, that's what it's for. That's what it means. So there's been an adjustment somewhere. So that's how you do it. And that was one of the biggest questions that people want me to answer. And also from here, how do we then save? Okay, so again, these are simple steps, but if you've not been shown, then you don't know. So we go to File and then we go to Export. Now this is Lightroom. I'll show you how to do it in Photoshop. Then you're going to choose your location, so desktop. You can put it into a subfolder if you want to. So that just means that you're going to create a folder within desktop. Okay, you can uncheck that if you just want to save it to desktop. And then you can rename your file here if you want to. And then we come to the file settings here. So if you want it as a JPEG, you can leave it as that. If you want it as a PSD or a TIFF or a DNG, whatever you want, depending on what you're doing, you would select there. And you can also boost the quality up here. You can also limit file size, resolution. So again, depending on what you're doing, so it could be 300, it could be 170, depending, really depends on what you want to do. You can sharpen for screen or for print if you want to, matte paper, gloss paper, or for screen. You can leave the metadata or remove it all. Okay, you can go through all this. You can add your own watermark, and then you can just click export. And what that will do up here, Lightroom will now get this image ready, and it will export it and save it to my desktop, which it has up here. If you look at the top here, now here is the JPEG file. Can you see in the top right hand corner? And here's the TIFF file, which is the original. So if we bring Photoshop up, so if you want to save directly from Photoshop, if you don't want to save this back into Lightroom, but I recommend you do bring it back into Lightroom, because you're cataloging your images there. But if you do want to save this, and just go to File, Save As, okay, and then Photoshop will ask you if you want to save it in the clouds or if you want to save it on your computer. You can click Don't Show Again, so you get a certain amount of storage within Adobe. So if you want to save it on your computer, just click there. You can name it whatever you want, select wherever you want, and then you've got all these different file types here. Okay, you can save it as a copy. You can include all the layers, so that's a really good option to have, because clicking on that, what that means is that if you open this file up again, you'll have these layers here, so you can come back and carry on working, so you haven't got to start all over again. And we just click save, and it's going to say, do I want to replace the one that's already there? So I don't want to, so I will call this something different. Okay, and click save, and then just press OK, and then that file will be exported to my desktop, which is here, and I can then use that. So that's how you do it. Okay, so I hope that's been some help for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Really short and sweet, really simple effects to do. Oh, we've got a bit of a mosaic thing going on here. But yeah, for sharpening, it's a really, really good tool, okay, for fine detail. So if you want to get notified every time that I go live, look, that's a bit psychedelic, isn't it? You can go to this link here. It's in the description. Just click it. You'll be signed up for SMS messaging every time I go live. Also, you can join me for the next 5-step blueprint to photography challenge, which starts on March the 15th. Okay, 5 days with me. Get off auto. Really, really good. Loads of people done this previous. You can get on there. Again, it's in the description. So just go and sign up there. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed that, guys. Take care, and I will see you soon. Happy Pancake Day. Bye bye.